The reasons for the slowdown, there's always reasons for the slowdown. I'm beginning to suspect, actually, that maybe I'm just bad at managing my time. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But anyway, this is sort of a live that doesn't matter if it's live, basically. So I have here, you just saw me pouring there, this lovely little sample there. I'm not sure if you can even make that out. Probably help if it's the right way around. Lochside 30-year-old from Murray McDavid. It's delightful dram. I've actually had the luck of trying it a little bit before, so we're going to kind of dive into this. I actually had the sample for a little while now. It was gifted to me for my 30th birthday, and I'm going to be 31 at the end of this month, so I've had it hanging around for a while. So that's probably going to have affected it a little bit because there's a fair bit of oxygen contact to whiskey. Hey ho. We'll see how it goes. Also, the flat's a tip at the moment as well. To just ignore everything, everything that is going on right now. Should I move this down a little bit? Is that maybe? Am I going to regret this? There we go. That's fine. That's not fine. That's exposing how I live. Maybe I should just do that so you can't see anything. There. Yeah, that'll do. That's fine. That's fine. Right. Cool. So, good evening. Samuel Smith. I hope not the one that I keep slagging. That would be awkward. The brewery. I should, before I make this man completely paranoid, the brewery. Right, cool. So I'm knackered. So we should get into kind of like a little life update at the moment. I've not updated the channel in like 10, 11 days, something like that. Obviously, I missed all of the shenanigans with the Oswas as well. And I did a little thing on Instagram a couple of days ago. Was it a couple of days ago or was it yesterday? I've completely lost track of time because I got a new job. I'm still, this is wonky now, isn't it? Hang on. There we go. I'm still in the licensed managed trade pub, running pubs. That's what I do. That is the way that I make money. It's been a long few weeks. I've taken over a pub in Edinburgh, which is very exciting. I should quickly say when I say that I've taken over as the GM, I don't own it. Whenever you say, oh, I've taken this pub over, everyone's like, oh, you own it. I was like, do I dress like the kind of person that has that kind of money? Come on. I mean, I'm running it. But it has been challenging so far because since I've came on board, I'm all the staff. So it's been difficult, just like doing things like getting the doors open. Like everything was broken. It's a whole thing. So as a consequence, I've been working about 80 hours a week for the past 3 weeks. It's a slight exaggeration. It feels like it though. Although actually, I think this week is probably going to top it because I'm doing 7 days. But yeah. I've just not had time, but like, I mean, I've had time. Do you know what? I've gotten home and I've had time to like do content and stuff. I've just been so tired. I'm tired now. But I'm like, okay, I think I've pushed the limit of how long I can leave this without people thinking that I'm dead. So there we go. Let's have a sip of whiskey. Let's see what the Lochside's like. It's raspberry apple ice cream in whiskey form. It's lovely. Drinking out a tumbler at the minute because The Crown launched today. Already 4 episodes through, I think. So that's fun. John Major should not be hot. That's good acting, but the casting's off. Also, Prince Charles, they made him hot. I'm very confused. I was reading a BBC review of it, and even they commented on, I think they called him, the guy who's playing him, too classically handsome to accurately portray Charles, which is just a big old dig on the king now, I suppose. I don't know why I'm saying suppose. He is. That's how hereditary succession works. But it's as nice as like raspberry apple ice cream. If you clicked on this kind of expecting details about the whiskey, you're not going to get too much because it's a bottle that is an absolute cunt to get your hands on. So there'd be no point in me giving you lengthy tasting notes on it because I have tried buying a bottle and it's difficult. But Yeah. This is mainly for me. I was like, do I need a 30-year-old whiskey? And the answer is yes, I need a 30-year-old whiskey just now. I'm enjoying the new gig. It's a lot of fun, but it's also stressful because like it begins and ends with me, and there's loads of stuff that I want to do, and I can't help but feel like, I mean, I don't care too much at the start, it looking like I'm not doing much, because I am doing much. I'm doing all the boring shit at the minute, like making sure everything's fixed, making sure the tills are programmed, making sure that I've got staff, like getting orders set up or reset up in some cases. It's a lot of like dull shit that's to do with setting up before I kind of get involved with the offer. Once everything's sorted and critically I've got a team on board so I can actually delegate jobs out, then it's kind of gonna start really working. But until then, it's got to be the dull stuff. So I had some comments coming in actually. Smith says congratulations, thank you very much. Liz, good to see you again. King Tampon II being handsome is proof that it's fiction, ain't it just? And greetings from Donna Pass. Just stopped snowing. Just recently found your channel. I'm enjoying your content. Let's see how well I can ruin that for you. Also, I have a sniffle at the minute. I don't have a cold. Mo's molting at the minute. It's the time of year where he sheds his fur, and this is how much fur he's molting. I've had an itchy eye for the last like 2 days. You can probably see it's like a bit bloodshot. And I got some eye drops well, it's not an eye drop, like the eye bath, where you basically like, it's like doing a shot of tequila with your eye, basically. You like put your hair, like do that and like swill it all around. Rimming your eyelids with salt is optional. And one of the more horrifying things happened to me. There's like a little white thing like hanging out here. This is disgusting. I'm well aware this is disgusting, but hey, it's like 10 past midnight. So, I mean, clearly you have nothing better to do. So you're here for the ride. And I like tugged on it. This is horrifying, isn't it? Imagine what it was like for me. And I pulled one of Mo's hairs out of my eye. And let me just tell you, that is one of the most like unnerving things I've ever had happen to me, because it was like, I was like, oh, it's just like a little thing. I just kept fucking coming. It was like that in the end. If you've never pulled cat hair out of your eye, do not recommend. Also, if you're just tuning in now on that line, you're probably like, nope, I'm going to go watch something else. So yeah, allergies. I'm having a swell time. What was my plan with this? Yeah. Also, I'm going to be recording a little thing for my patrons later on, and that's basically just going to be talking more about my new job, basically. So that'll be exciting. And I get to go into a tiny bit more detail about like sort of what my plans are, and hopefully nobody stalks me. I always feel weird talking about my job because like every company has a social media policy, which is basically don't bring I think the exact wording is like don't bring the company into ill repute, but it's basically don't slag the company off on the internet, which should be common sense. But hey, excuse me. Did I mention I'm tired? I'm back in again tomorrow at 2, I think, so it's not that bad. But I'm on some clothes. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, I always feel weird about talking about like my job on the internet, especially when it's like a new job, because I'm consciously aware that in those first few months you are like one fuck up away from being shown the door. So that's always fun. But I've got a good feeling about this, to be fair. Everything seems to be going fine so far. Given it's my first GM gig, I'm not freaking out about it. I feel like I probably should be, to be fair. It's just a lot. There's a lot of stress at the moment. There's like a lot to do. It's just so much to do. Like I've had to-do lists for like the past 2 weeks, and every time I chip something off, something else gets on. So it's always stayed at like that kind of level. Maybe that's just normal. But what are you doing talking about common sense? I'm rebuking it to the max. But Okay. Whiskey time. This is more for me than anything else, but. Okie dokie, let's do this thing. So, a month ago, 2 months ago, when did I upload this? 2 months ago now. I did an 11-hour, nearly a 12-hour stream, which was an Ask Me Anything. And I have it in front of me here. I'll just kind of carry on playing this. I'm actually on another screen now, so if you guys are commenting whilst I do these, then it'll be intermittent, so don't think I'm ignoring you. Basically, I asked people to ask me some questions, so I'm going to go through and answer them. So first off, we have one from First Phil Whisky. Would you rather change gender every time you sneeze, or not be able to tell the difference between babies and muffins? Hello, Phil. I see we've been sniffing the special glue today. Bloody Nora. I don't have an issue with like changing gender every time I sneeze, because I don't have an issue. Unlike a lot of people that like, you know, say, oh, well, that's being girly and stuff. You know, I don't have an issue. I don't think being a woman is a bad thing. I mean, nor should most people, I think, because, you know, unless you have a particularly tumultuous relationship with them, everyone has a mother. So I don't understand misogyny very well at all. But as a, where was I going with this? Is there a difference between babies and muffins? Like, I don't know how the birthing process goes. I'd probably walk it, like a friend of mine's expecting again. I'd probably like walk up and be like, hey, congratulations. So where is it? Where's the egg? I've never seen one before. You've got them white. You know, I wouldn't know where to start with that, because everyone started like mating during the pandemic because, well, it was that pub quizzes. So that, yeah. Let's go with the babies and muffins one, because, you know, I just get to be kind of like the dozy gay uncle that way. It's like, is it a cake? Is it a cake? Is it a child? We'll never know. Edward Thompson asks, would you consider reviewing Calvados? I have in the past. I've done a Calvados before now, and I would absolutely be interested in reviewing more Calvados. I shall. Oh, you've just reminded me. I need to cost a new Calvados. Oh, not a Calvados. What did I get in today? A new cognac. I know they're different things. I need to cost that, so it's on the till for tomorrow. That's another thing on the to-do list. Thanks for reminding me of that. Yeah, I'd love to do some more Calvados. Calvados should be getting more attention. Just going to put it out there. The production methods are fascinating. It makes a lovely spirit. Yeah, I think more people should be talking about Calvados, and I think I should be talking about Calvados a bit more as well. What else have we got? Boss 7 Alley, that's her name. If you're given 3 wishes, what would they be? Oh, I hate these questions. Jesus Christ. I hate these questions. I wouldn't ask for 3 more wishes, because that'll be in the terms and conditions. Like, you don't fuck with a genie. They know people. Oh, why don't I prep for these? Is there a countdown? Is it like Shenron the Eternal Dragon? No, it's not Shenron that grants 3 wishes. He granted 2 after Dende resurrected him. Purunga, he was the one who did 3, wasn't he? We could only do 1 individual at a time. So, you know. Anyway, sorry, that was Dragon Ball Z. 3 wishes. I'd wish for a paddling pool of lemon and lime marmalade. I'd wish for something far-fetched and ludicrous. A mortgage. That's that proper Fantasyland shit there. And a well-funded public health system. There we go. That's 3 pure fantasy wishes there. Good, I just made myself sad. Cool. Edward Thompson asks again, have you ever tried Mao Tai? It is a very expensive Chinese spirit made from sorghum wheat. It clocks in at 53% alcohol and has a flavor profile of vomit. Well, when you put it like that, no, I have not. And I get the feeling that that is one of those things where people just want to watch me squirm. So, you know, I'll get my hands on a bottle at some point. Boily Boil. Not to play Captain Buzzkill or anything, but has anyone got an idea about how to stop the bastards from closing down all our pubs this winter? Go in and spend all your money. That's what I'm hoping people do. Otherwise, I'm out of a job basically. Yeah. Also, who becomes a GM during like the winter of discontent 2022? Like, who does that? This guy, apparently. Worst time to step into this role. Is like, the job's never been harder. With no staff, no money, no governmental support, potentially no hope. And I was like, yeah, I want that gig. Man alive, I've got... If I haven't had a panic attack by New Year's, I swear to God. Right, what was I up to? Bud Zogan. Sounds like a Power Rangers villain, that. What whiskey is your go-to in 50, 100, 150 range? What would you take home from shop, i.e. Loveblood, Vanilla, Glengarry 12, etc.? Ooh, okay. £50 and under. I'm probably looking at something like a Glenallachie 12. Just a good all-round cracking whiskey. Comes at about 47, 48, I think that currently goes for. It's probably going to break the 50 barrier before too long. 100. So that gets a little trickier, doesn't it? Because suddenly you've got a lot of options opening up. But I'm thinking kind of like 70, 80s range. Oh, I don't have to spend the whole 100, do I? Probably a good 18-year-old. I'd probably have to kind of see what they've got. I mean, if I'm on like Royal Mile whiskies, I suppose I'm spoiled for choice, really, aren't I? Oh, 100 quid. I'm struggling. I really am struggling. I'm gonna say like a Glengoyne 18 because that's what's in my head right now. But honestly, I'd have to look. 150, let's say a Glenmorangie Signet because it's, you know, it's nice. But you know, actually no, Annick 24 if they've got that, because that's still really reasonably priced. I'll probably grab that. Also, what is your favorite NES 10, 12, 15, 18, etc.? I get the feeling we're going to be here for some time with these questions. I'm going to quickly check on comments because I'm going to have to obviously go into this quite detailed by the looks of it. Cheers, I'm working 9 12-hour days straight with the snow we just got. Should have a few days off next week. Oof, looks like a fair few of us are working long days at the moment. My favourite no age sale, and I think I've actually got it to reach. Oh, this is one of the first bottles I brought in actually. All Bell and Truan. I think more people should be talking about this. This stuff is fucking brilliant. Peated Speyside, and it's lovely. There's nothing not to like about that. There's a lot of competition with like the newer whiskies as well. The 1770 Peated PX, I think that's got to be up there as well. The Black Bottle Alchemy releases actually. The not the Smoke and Dagger. I haven't tried that one yet. The Experiment 2, the old blue label, glorious stuff. Favorite 10-year-old. I do like the Springbank 10. I know I slag it a lot, but I don't think we're helping our own case at this point with like the hype machine. For a 10-year-old though, I think I'm gonna have to go for the Glencairn 10. It's just a fucking solid whiskey for the price definitely helps, but also it's just a fucking solid whiskey. I choose that over the Arran. I'm the only one that would choose it over the Arran because the Arran is the best whiskey in the universe, as we all know. Yeah, it's a lovely whiskey. I'm very much alone in this. I don't know at this point if people are just voting Arran 10 whenever they see like an opportunity to give Arran 10 an award, or they are actually genuinely like jizzing their pants every time they see it. I don't know, because I'm just not having that same. It's a lovely whiskey. I don't think it's better than a lot of like its contemporaries. I would actually say the Glencairn's better, personally, but clearly I'm in a minority camp on that one. 12-year-old. Ooh, it's the most impressive 12-year-old. Fucking, you need to watch what you're saying when you're talking about whiskies. What is the most impressive 12-year-old whiskey that I've had? of recent times. See, I've been struggling this year to think about, because it's coming up, isn't it? The whiskey of the year for 2022. What is going to be my pick? I think I have a top pick, but things could yet change. 12-year-old. I'm going to go with Glentoran 12. I've had a couple of the expressions now. They've both been different, but equally glorious in each other. 15-year-old. 15. I think I'm going to have to go with the Glendronach 15. I think that would be my pick for the 15s. It's probably one that I'm going to think of after I've done this live and be like, oh, no, I meant something else. But yeah, I think that one's the 15. 18-year-olds. Ooh, what's a good 18-year-old? Fucking need to think about how I word these things. Do you know what, actually, as much as I was giving the 10-year-old a licking, they are an 18-year-old. Glorious. Fantastic stuff. Not the cheapest, not the most expensive, but it's fucking mwah, lip-smacking stuff. Love it. 21-year-old. See, I don't tend to go for older whiskies. I'm going to cop out on this one and say Auchentoshan 21, specifically the indie bottling I had a few years ago, because that still stands as like the nicest 21-year-old I've had. After that, it would probably be the Glengoyne. But yeah, a lot of the 21-year-olds I've had have been kind of like, I'm drinking a 21-year-old whiskey. I don't care that much, but I'm drinking a 21-year-old whiskey. It's, you know, it's nice enough. But yeah, it's mainly the age with that. You know, it feels like a special occasion more than it is one in a lot of cases with me. And then a follow-up. There's a couple more follow-ups actually from this same person. Any plans to make again series where you rate low-budget blends? Did I ever do a series on this? I don't think I did. I think I think I did like some incidental releases that were all blends. I don't have any immediate plans to do. I do have a series coming up next month. And again, patrons will get a heads up on that one. I've made far too much work for myself, more so now that I have no time, because I don't have long to get it ready, and I need to get it fucking ready. So that's fun. Thoughts on the recent Ralphie 943 extras? Can you name the list of distilleries in these categories or name whiskey? Haven't watched it. I'll get back to you. Right, cool. Let's move on. And let's just quickly check the comments. What we got here? Would you make of the Master Malt website becoming an indie bottler? They've dabbled with indie bottlings before now. To be fair, it's not that new. Yeah, I convinced Jeff Whiskey to get the, I think it was the 6-year-old Speyside or something like that, because it was going for like 9p a bottle or something ludicrous like that. I said it was all right, you know. I said it was, you know, perfectly fine. There are some that intrigue me. There are others that, meh. I don't know. They don't excite me. You know, their bottlings, they don't particularly excite me. I've got to say that much. We actually had an indie bottler come in today, Finn Thompson. We got to try some of their whiskies. My favourite was a Burnside that he produced. It's a teaspooned Balvenie that's been finished in Scottish rum casks. Basically trying to do a Caribbean cask on rocket fuel, basically, and it was fucking glorious. I want to get a bottle in as soon as humanly possible. Yeah, Master Malt, yeah, take it or leave it. Really glad that Cadenhead's got sort of justice for Cadenheads in Oswers. That made my day seeing that. Old Ballantrae is a relatively unknown belter, ain't it just? I'm trying to get some power for that, you know, and I'm glad to see that I'm not the only one that's enjoying it. Donna Pass whiskey, a long haul, mate. Make the most of those days off when you're not sleeping. Agree, Old Ballantrae, fantastic. You see, that's the thing that I've noticed. Like, whenever I do bring up Old Ballantrae, it's got a healthy fan base, but it doesn't. You just don't see it about much. Yeah, yeah, I think more people should be chatting about Old Ballantrae. When I was at Tom & Tell, they're very keen on, you know, getting feedback on that one. It's one of those ones where like I think they acknowledge that it's not anywhere close to like their most popular whiskey. It's quite a niche, sort of almost like an experiment from them, basically. But yeah, I mean, they were surprised actually when I went along for a tasting that was one of my favorites, because like they were all like to talk about, you know, like their port releases and the sauternes and stuff like that, and they were all beautiful, beautiful whiskies. The Peaty Tang actually as well, really enjoyed that. But they were surprised when I said, no, the Old Bal, that's my jam, that's my favorite from them. If you ever get an opportunity to visit, I mean, just visit distilleries in general, but good God, the scenery you get. Wow, incredible. Mersey Beers asks, you have reviewed WKD and you have reviewed Dragon Soup, but how about WKD's attempt at challenging Dragon Soup, their WKD X? Most Icelands have it, I believe. I have seen these in the wild. I have considered doing it. I think I might have to. I've got a couple of other wacky little things that I want to get filmed as well, but yes, that probably will be in the pipeline at some point. And then there's a couple more questions tagged onto the actual video once it stopped doing its thing. Fraser Thistle asks, best distillery visit. Now, I've only done 3, and they were all this year, which probably surprises people that, you know, I've never visited a distillery before this year. Fun fact, I was going to do it before the pandemic. Then the pandemic happened. Technically speaking, I have visited a distillery before, like a whiskey distillery before, but it wasn't making whiskey at the time. I have visited Summerhall. That is now going to be producing whiskey, but it wasn't a whiskey distillery when I visited. So, through virtue of technicality, I have technically been in what is now a whiskey distillery. Oh, the best visit. Oh, they were all brilliant. Because I was doing a project for my old work, where basically we like film inside, and we got just such wonderful content from them. One of them, I need to find the SD card for. It's in this bloody flat somewhere, and I don't know what the hell I've done with it. But yeah, I love Tom & Tell for like just the madness of us getting a train from Edinburgh to, it wasn't Tom & Tell, it was the town over, and then driving in. It took us about 6 hours to get there. We had 2 hours of filming time before we had to get the last train back. We did that in a day. That is mad. Don't do that if you don't have to. We did it. Looking back at it, I'm just like, wow, what a day. What a fucking day. And the scenery is just gorgeous. I think the Tom & Tell visit actually probably takes it, to be honest. I adored going to Glengoyne. I've always wanted to visit Glengoyne. So the fact that it was the first distillery I got to visit, I was so excited about. And Gordon was amazing. He's just such a storyteller. And we got to see, I loved it. I really liked Aberlour as well. I didn't think Aberlour? I wasn't Aberlour. What the fuck am I talking about? Aberfeldy, sorry. Ooh, I didn't think I was going to enjoy Aberfeldy too much. I loved it. They have this wonderful recreation of, I think it's the doer's like office, basically, and it's got a recreation of the desk, and it's beautiful inside. It's got all this memorabilia from like the brand's history, and each distillery very different. In terms of like, but you know what? They all kind of win. I know that's a cop-out, but they all kind of win for different reasons. In terms of scenery, Tom & Tell takes it easy. In terms of like emotional, like, I'm actually doing this, Glengoyne takes it. In terms of actual like walk-around experience, I think Aberfeldy takes it. So there we go. That's a real cop-out answer, but I enjoyed all 3, and I'm looking forward to doing more when I do get some time. Best whiskey bars. The Blue Blazer's doing pretty well. For, you know, reasons. Who else? I mean, you know, they're all inferior by comparison, but Pot Still, I've heard very good things about. I've never stepped foot in it. That's a lie. I've stepped foot in it, couldn't get a seat, so I had to leave. Here's a funny one. It wasn't a whiskey bar when I went, but it has a very special place in my heart. And now it is a whiskey bar, so it's even better. St. Maca Bar in Aberdeen. It was the student bar that wasn't the Bobbin. Loved it in there. It was owned by this cantankerous old woman. They did stovies, was their only food. It was lovely. So like a little beetroot. It was great. It's great. Fucking loved it. And now they got like a range of whiskies, and they just have they just done, or are they in the process of? They've just done the Aberdeen Whiskey Festival. Because Blair Bowman's busy being like the Emperor of the Moon or something, so someone else has had to take over the Aberdeen mantle. Fun fact: I was at uni at the same time as Blair. It's funny how different paths can develop, but hey ho. Who else? The Athletic Arms Diggers in Edinburgh. Got to get a shout out. Of course it does. Uskebe, always a fantastic place if you want to show off. Basically, still closed at the moment, but it'll be coming back fairly soon. Bobar's good. It's a little pricey because it's on Harry Potter Lane, but it is good. Have you ever dropped a bottle of whiskey? I'm thinking back to your short YouTube videos where you toss bottles hand to hand. Yeah, you mean like that kind of nonsense, yeah? I'm doing this with Jameson's for a reason, aren't I? I should actually get around to reviewing this again at some point. I should do a re-review. It's the Stout Edition Jameson's. Nice, cheap, kind of sweet. It's all right. Have I ever dropped a... I don't think I have, actually. I've come close. I've had like a... but I've never actually dropped one. Glasses, plenty of glasses. Because I do the same thing with like pint glasses, and there's been occasions where I've gone to throw it in the other hand and it's just gone straight past, and I've ended up like lobbing it. Not good, not fun times. Don't recommend. Would you consider doing some episodes on Calvados? We've had this question already. Somebody asked me this twice. Yes, somebody has asked me this twice. Yes, I will get some Calvados done at some point. We have. Oh, blimey. Favorite whiskies? Favorite... Oh, no. I hate these questions because it's really tricky to answer. I'm just going to pluck some ones that I like off of my head then. Scotch, Bladnoch 10. Bourbon... Ooh. Bullet Rye. Actually, that's not a bourbon, is it? Because the mash bill's not right. What am I talking about? I'm not very up on my American whiskey. I haven't drank much American whiskey, to be fair. So, favorite bourbon. I'm just going to say Four Roses for the time being, because honestly, I don't have much of an opinion on bourbon, to be completely honest with you. Irish, Redbreast is all right. Japanese, probably go with Nika by the Barrel. There we go. That wasn't very informative. I hate these "what are your favorite" questions because it changes. And as just evidence as well, I'm very bad at remembering a lot of these. Like bourbon is a very forgettable whiskey to me. Sorry, but it just is. It's like it will just kind of taste a bit corny to me. Now I know that I'm doing the thing that a lot of people do when they're kind of like, oh, you know, I don't like whiskey; it will taste the same to me. And I'm consciously aware that I'm wrong basically, but you know, I'm not there yet with bourbon in the same way that I am with whiskey. Any more comments come in? A few. Whiskey back when I was still fit to work, I did 16 straight 12. Back when I was fit to work, I did 16 straight 12-hour day shifts on response policing, many of which went over that time. The final one was 17 hours. It was brutal. I did a 17-hour shift last Friday because, again, on the member of staff, I had a part-timer I was borrowing from another pub who could do a 6 close. Deliveries are on Fridays, so I had to be in at 10 in the morning and stick around until we got out the door at 2 a.m. So that was a pretty brutal... that wasn't fun. I didn't enjoy that very much. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was fine, but towards the end, I was just fucking dead on my feet. My first day off, I had Wild Turkey 101 as part of my break. Oh, Wild Turkey 101. I forgot all about Wild Turkey 101. Yeah, that's my favourite. There we go. That'll do. Why did you start drinking alcohol, and what was your first drink? Where did I start? I turned 18. British drinking culture is basically, hey, pints, lads! Because, as you can tell, I am hell of a lad. Why did I start drinking? I was young. And thought, yeah, let's do this. I remember quite distinctly, actually, when I first turned 18, there was this pub called the Pineapple Inn. It was the first place I got a job. Loved it. Little ale pub. It's been mothballed. I think it's probably going to be demolished fairly soon, unfortunately. Just because, it was struggling back when it was viable, and I think now it's just completely unviable as a business, sadly. I remember we would go in there sometimes for lunch because it was a favorite spot of my mum's. And then when I turned 18, we were going for lunch as we ordered at the bar, and my dad was like, "Oh, what do you want to drink?" And it was 12, and I was like, "Oh, I'll have Coke or something. It's fine." And mum was like, "Well, why don't you get a drink?" I was like, "No, it's fine." She was like, "No, get a drink." I was like, "Well, you don't have to tell an 18-year-old twice." So I ended up getting I think it was a unicorn pint of bitter because the North. And because I started with ales, I'm an ale drinker. I love an ale. I've been accused in the past by managers, and I was like, "Oh, you don't really know your ales," and I've stopped correcting them because I'm just like, okay, just gonna leave that one there then. John, I don't think we get much good bourbon in the UK due to the local product being so good. Very, very, very possible. I don't know the inner workings or politics of the category. It's very possible that you are correct. Even John, reviews are top notch. I'm trying to venture into whiskey bourbon world. Any advice? I drink shed loads of beer but struggled with spirits. A lot. But a lot of the time I found actually the reason why people kind of struggle with it is that they're drinking them wrong. And that sounds stupid because it's well, you drink it surely. A lot of people when they first approach whiskey, they treat it like a shot because it's served short. Sip it, take your time with it. Go with something that I'd maybe go to a bar actually and get a shot of something that's not Glenfiddich. Basically, no shade to Glenfiddich. I think once you've had a few, you've gotten into your whiskies a little bit more. I think Glenfiddich's actually better as a to come back to whiskey rather than a starter whiskey. I don't think it does too well as a starter whiskey. Controversial opinion potentially, but by contrast, actually, Glenmorangie 10, perfectly good one. I'd go easy, and I'd be not too scared of adding water because that's again a lot of people have this hang up of oh, you can't put water in whiskey. It's of course you fucking can. It's your drink. You do as you please. A couple more questions, and then we'll actually there's only one because the other one is a spam comment, so we'll not bother with that. I think it's asking me in Dutch to sign up to a prostitute website or something because know your target audience. Bob Caffin asked upcoming new distilleries and whiskies to look out for. It's just out of reach. Lindor's doing fantastic work. Wireworks, Yorkshire-based distillery, doing again just sublime stuff. Glasgow, now they've fixed their bottles. Cracking stuff. Their tequila release, lovely. Cognac peated, I have now tried it. Lovely, but I prefer the tequila personally. What else? Loch Lee, surprisingly fantastic. Clydeside, kind of into that as well. There's a lot. I would be very keen on I'd keep my eye on Lindor's, certainly, because I know of the guy who is their cask custodian. He used to work at Uskabay as well. I never worked with him, but I know that he has an eye for detail. I think I'm pretty much the only person that's worked at Whiskey Bay that hasn't been poached by the whiskey industry. Make of that what you will, I suppose. What else? Yeah, they're the ones to look out for, I would say, for the time being. There's going to be people screaming in the comments, I'd imagine, being like, oh no, there's way more. But here's another one from Al. Your first whiskey, did it get you hooked or make you go to hell with this? First whiskey I tried was a Glenfiddich 12, which is why I don't recommend it as a gateway whiskey, because it didn't work for me. I mean, I'm not a particular fan of that flavor profile either, but yeah, just wasn't working for me. Conversely, however, the one that I kind of like, the first one I tolerated, I think, was a Johnny Walker Black Label with a bit of ice. I think that was the first one where I was like, yeah, I can get on board with this a little bit. And then I experimented again with the Balvenie Doublewood, classic gateway whiskey. Although actually, I think I'd be right in saying that the Caribbean Cask 14-year-old converts more people than the 12 actually does. Because again, it's just a stunning whiskey. It's got that little bit of a difference to it, where, you know, if you're new to your whiskies, you've maybe heard of sherry whiskies. You've not heard so much of like rum cask whiskies, even though they're actually quite common. But you know, it's not something that comes up as much, and it sounds like this kind of like, oh, it's like 2 drinks in one kind of a thing. You know, rum sounds cooler than sherry. I love sherry, but I don't make the rules. It's a fact, unfortunately. You know, sherry's just not that cool. As much as we keep trying to say, nah, sherry is cool. Sherry's not cool. It's cool in terms of, like, you know, once you learn about it and you're like, oh, actually, this is actually really fucking cool. But yeah, when you just say to somebody, would you like a toss of sherry? They're like, what? Is this a Benjamin Button situation? What's going on here? Yes, the Balvenie 12, and then from there just kind of tried other bits and pieces. And I was late to whiskey, actually. Aberdeen University, one of their most successful societies that they had when I was there was the Whisky Society. They did regular tastings. They did like full-blown festivities in Butchart. And yeah, I just didn't get engaged that much. And there was a guy that I fancied the fuck out of, who loved the Whisky Society. He's married now, but yeah, I just couldn't get into it at the time. I just wasn't ready for it. Where are we here? My first whiskey was Teachers. Put me off for years. Well, it would. Yeah, it's not the worst of the blends, which is kind of concerning, I suppose. I should take the Halloween decorations down at some point, shouldn't I? Yeah, there is worse out there, sadly. When customers ask you for suggestions, what are your go-to bottles and how do you decide what to suggest? Ooh, here's quite a question. Okay, first of all, it depends on what I've got available. Like, before the pub that I'm in now, the selection was quite a bit more limited. Back when I was at the cask. So when somebody would be asking for, it's weird because there was loads of bottles, but like the range was all quite basic. If that makes sense. So it was like a lot of 10-year-olds, a lot of 12-year-olds, all quite bourbon led, even though there was loads of bottles. So actually, when somebody was asking for something, you know, oh, I like this, that, and then there was limits to what you could customize. So that was quite tricky, because it was weird having that much to play with and yet so little to play with. It was odd. So it depends certainly on what like the stocking policy is. I think particularly in Edinburgh, like, you need to have some idea of what you're doing when it comes to the whiskies. And if you don't, find someone in your team that does. That would be my first bit of advice. But once you've got like a few toys to play with, it depends on what people are after. I normally start with something different, like a different question, because normally when people are coming to you and they don't know about their whiskies, if you go, what do you like, they stumble and they think, oh, what whiskies have I had before? And I haven't really had any whiskies. I don't know what I'm looking for. So start with something that's a bit more universal. So I always ask them kind of like, okay, cool. Are they more of if they were going to order a meal, are they more of a starters or a desserts kind of a person? So if they say starters, okay, I'm looking for something that's more kind of short still, it's got kind of a funk to it, like a Springbank, for example. You know, it's got a bit more of kind of like a savoury edge to it, or a malt lac might do quite nicely. You know, something that's got something a little more meaty to it. Whereas if they say they're more of a desserts person, then okay, world's your oyster. You know, something that's really heavily bourbon or really heavy sherry cask. So you need to kind of decide, okay, cool, what kind of a dessert are they into? You know, if you were to order a dessert, would you prefer something like a vanilla cake or a Christmas cake? I think you can see where I'm going with that. You know, if they go vanilla cake, okay, cool, I'm going to want something that's bourbon led. If they say Christmas cake, okay, cool, I'm looking at a sherry monster. And then the question to end all questions: how do you feel about barbecues? Love them or hate them? If you love them, chances are we're okay to go with smoke. If they hate them, stay away from the smoke. So if they said, "Oh yeah, I'm a dessert fan, I prefer Christmas cake, and I love a barbecue," probably go with a Kilchoman Snake. See how they get on with it, or a Lafroig Sherrywood. And if that's not the kind of jam, then okay, cool, we'll roll it back. Maybe get rid of the smoke first, try a sherry bomb, see how we get on with that. If they don't respond well to that, take it back a notch. Although by that point you're probably like 2 drinks in, and they're probably just kind of like, "I'm good. You did not tickle my taste buds." But yeah, that's kind of my approach. And then when we do tastings, I tend to tell people, go under the nose. I'll do like a quick kind of rendition, because otherwise I'm going to end up here for hours. But start with the nose, breathe through your mouth, smell and taste. They're interconnected with each other. I always tell people to treat the first sip of whiskey like mouthwash. Don't treat it with all the reverence that people say, you know, oh, you have to have like, because there's an image of the whiskey drinker, and it's that kind of like, oh yes, oh, yes, oh yes, Stella, yes. So I like to try and break that down, because the less people are scared of their drink, the more they're going to enjoy it. So I kind of break it down by saying, okay, cool, treat it like mouthwash, swill it around, don't think about it. Idea behind that, we're going to shock our senses and basically say, cool, we're doing booze now, get ready. Give your palate a moment to rest, and then go in and actually sip and see if you can pick out anything on the second sip. If you think it's a bit too harsh, then we can introduce some water into the equation. We want it a bit more chilled, okay, cool, let's stick some ice in it. Drink your drink as you want it. That's how I'd kind of approach that. I like to try and reintroduce the fun into whiskies whenever I'm like doing tastings, because too many people, like, particularly when they're like, I came on board like a well-known whiskey bar in Edinburgh, and they were like, cool, we want you to do like a tasting for this table, and they gave me this, like, it was like a 5-page script, and it was like, back in 18 so and so invented the first stills, and then, you know, 100 years later the first distilleries, and this is the history of illicit stilling, and so did this, and Doodah did that, and Barley's does this. I was just like, this is fucking dull. It's just like, you know, you get halfway through the first page and they're asleep. So I was like, right, cool, bollocks to this, let's do something a bit more interactive. So I went very much more kind of like customer led. I was more there to kind of Yoda them through it. I was getting them to do the heavy lifting and advise, rather than tell them all this history, because frankly, no one gives a fuck. You know, like waffling on about, you know, the history of illicit distilling and stuff, unless you're at a lecture entitled The History of Illicit Distilling. Here's some advice. No one gives a shit. They're there to drink some whiskey and kind of be told how to drink it properly. That's what they want. Anywho, the Teachers was my father's choice for a whiskey Mac, and very well suited it was too, but that was 20 plus years ago, and standards have dropped. I do have a miniature of old Teachers up there somewhere. Can I actually see it? No, and I'm not going to go rummaging. Out of my neck. Falling to pieces. Yeah. Yeah. There's some fantastic blends out there nowadays. I mean, Compass Box doing good work. Johnny Walker are doing good work with their green label. The rest, yeah. Yeah. Black Label. Big into that one. It's doing good stuff. I'm going to wrap this up now. I think 50 minutes is long enough. And I do need to be back in again tomorrow. And I need to try and like get a modicum of sleep at some point. So I'm going to wrap this. Thank you very much for big whiskey. Oh yeah, I forgot all about the whiskey. This was nice. thank you very much for everyone who submitted their questions. Thank you for waiting as long as you have for me to answer them. The rest of this month might be this, because also I'm having to finish off the December videos, and I've still got a lot of them to do, and that'll probably give you a clue as to the format that that's going to take. But for now, though, thank you very much for joining me live, and I shall do more stuff in the future. It could well be lives. I don't know. But anyway, thank you very much for joining me this late, or depending on where you are, early, potentially. I don't know. I am going to go and see if I can fish some more cat hair out my eyeball. So that's going to be nightmarish. Thank you.